And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. And now we are honored to have the one and only Paul Kilian. He is the VP of Operations at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty right here in Houston, Texas. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanks so much for having me.
Very exciting to have you here, and certainly people all over Houston. The company is legendary. Martha Turner and Sotheby's, both legendary companies, and Martha Turner did a tremendous job years ago right here in establishing herself here in Houston, Texas. Let's tell people, let's say someone's listening from outside of the Houston area, and you were to describe Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, what would you say?
Sure. So, this company is the top luxury company real estate broker in Houston, and we're very proud of that. And what we really like about our network, if you're listening outside of Houston, is that the Sotheby's International Realty brand is consistent across all of our cities, all of our states, and even across the world. So if you're in Italy or Japan, for example, you'll see the same familiar logo, look, feel, color, fonts, and things of that nature. And there's just that consistent feel and level of quality service across the U.S. and across the world.
And that consistency is so important in serving buyers and sellers alike, whether they're here in Houston or anywhere else. They may be in Italy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We have a 4-person relocation department team here in Houston, and they work with buyers and sellers all across the world on a daily basis.
What a tremendous asset that is. And let's give people an idea, Paul, of your role at the company.
Sure. So my title is Vice President of Operations, and what that means is I oversee around 55 employees in 8 different departments, ranging from advertising to our showing department to community outreach to accounting. And what we all try to do is basically serve the client and serve the agent the best way we can. So we have weekly meetings that talk about what have we learned last week, what are we going to do this week. One of the areas I think that our company is unique is that Martha Turner started this years ago, where at the end of every summer we have these business development sessions, and that is a time for agents and employees to tell us what we're doing right and what we can improve on. So we're in this culture of constantly getting direct feedback from the field, and I think that gives us a leg up in the ability to make adjustments on the fly and things of that nature, so we're constantly serving our customers.
And so many things to be watching over and developing and wrangling, if you will, that many people in such an important effort. Give us an idea, just from a principle of success. How do you manage yourself, and what core principle of success or few that you use that have served you so well at what you're doing now and prior?
Sure. So when I started at Sotheby's International Realty about 10 or 11 years ago, one of my bosses at the time said that he always tries to answer an email or a voicemail the same day. And even though that sounds silly, the fact that you're constantly replying to people and letting people know that you're there to support them and to help them get what they need is a core principle. And so that talks about communication. And so we really focus on communication and making sure everyone who needs to know something knows about it, and that we value the input from all levels of our staff and all levels of our people to make sure we're doing the best that we can.
And also, as you bring that up, your career prior to being here in Houston, and by the way, a belated welcome to Houston.
Thank you.
Give us an idea. You started, was it New York City?
New York City, yes, with Sotheby's International Realty in 2006. Started off really just as a financial analyst, worked my way up to director of finance. And what I did there was I would support all the local teams across the U.S. We're company owned, which means we're not the franchise arm of it. And so we had about 2,000 sales agents across the U.S. And so I would support the local team. So the local branch manager would call in, and it started off from a budgetary standpoint, from the fact that they would say, I have the opportunity to do this or to do this. Can you help, advise what the best way is? And then from there, it kind of grew into workflow issues and process and new technologies, and really getting involved in the business aspect. What was great about that position was we supported the West Coast and the East Coast, from Beverly Hills to Palm Beach to the Hamptons. And so at any given day, I'd be able to talk to people in different cultures and different markets and see how businesses are run in different parts of the U.S. and then help advise on how to properly and the best way to fulfill, an issue.
Indeed, and the consistency that you spoke of, it kind of sounds like that was one of the tools for that consistency right there in New York City, your role there helping people all across the United States.
Yeah, it would be really fun, hearing the different kind of issues and problems. And, I don't want to say that it's all issues and problems, of course, but there was a lot of really fun opportunities. You get to visit and you would see the different cultures. For example, when you're doing a high dollar deal in New York City, it's suit and tie. But out in Malibu, our agents would be wearing board shorts and Bermuda T-shirts, closing $20 million deals. So it's really fun to see the different ways businesses run.
And also, as we talk about and many a TV show focuses on luxury real estate, and people look at those shows for a variety of reasons. A lot of us dream, and we look at these $20 million estates on the ocean, and you talk about Malibu. Yes, those are super cool, as well as there's some really beautiful real estate right there in New York City as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what we talk about at Sotheby's International Realty is luxury, and luxury doesn't mean a price point. Luxury is quality. Luxury is quality at any price point. And so whether it's New York City, whether a $500,000 studio is what is the market there, whether you're Houston, $200,000 or $300,000 3-bedroom home somewhere, if it's the best looking home on the block, we really want that in our inventory because we think that we'll do the best job with our reach and getting it out there and getting as many showings as possible and getting as many buyers through the door for the client.
And Paul, give us an idea with your prior experience and then coming to Houston. How do you view the market here from that lens of coming from New York City and Sotheby's, and now you're right here, and we have beautiful homes here of all sorts and great neighborhoods as well. How do you see it?
Oh, beautiful homes without a doubt. Wonderful neighborhoods. To sum it up in one word, I would say that it's resilient, the market here. So I came in 2014 to Houston at the end, right as oil was dropping from $100 down into the 20s. And so even when the energy industry was struggling through their time, we still saw big gains in the medical industry. So the Westview and the Bel Airs were still doing okay. And the shipping channel was making progress. With the low cost of oil, the chemical industry was able to make their product cheaper, so they were able to increase their profits. So what's interesting about Houston is there's so many different strong industries that play a really valuable role. And I think, Houston sometimes gets tagged as the energy city because it is the energy capital of the world, but there are still so many other things going on in Houston.
And not to mention a thing called the space program. I mean, what other city, and really when we think about the influence of the Panama Canal, when we think about oil, when we think about medical, and the space program, and so much more, I think that this city, the more I consider that, this is unique on the planet. I don't think there's any city that has so many different things.
No, and it's really wonderful to see. And, moving here, you read about NASA, right? That's what you learn about in school. And so it's wonderful to actually go explore it and go into there and to see the space station, or not see the space station, but see where it's built and things of that nature, and to actually get out and explore what Houston has to offer.
Very nice, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a short break, and Paul is going to come back. We are talking with Paul Kilian, the VP of Operations at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. Stay with us. He's coming back with even more. And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, your host, Bill Knapik, right here talking with the one and only Paul Kilian, VP of Operations, right here in Houston at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. Paul, as we continue our discussion, Houston, Texas, give us another word on some of the ideas that you have and your perspective on this incredible marketplace.
Well, so what we saw kind of going back a few years was, if you look at the 2011 to 2014 market in real estate, it was really booming. We saw areas 10, 15, 20% growth or price increases year over year. 2015, 2016 sort of took a pause as there was some macroeconomic pressures, energy industry, like we kind of talked about, things of that nature. Now that we started 2017, it almost feels like 2014 all over again, where our open houses are completely packed. We're seeing multiple bids. Our pending volume is significantly higher today as it was a year ago today. So many multiple offers, actually, that we're looking on doing a training class to help remind the agents the do's and don'ts, because it's been a couple years since we saw this really strong energy that's coming from the real estate market.
That is a great word, the multiple offers. There are do's and don'ts with every application in life, but certainly a lot of people, they must be swamped. People are happy to get those multiple offers, but there are certain protocols that must be adhered to.
Certain protocols, right, legally and ethically. And, we like to position ourselves as a very ethical company, and we like to do everything by the book. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical. And that's a real line for us. And so we always take the ethical way, and we always try to educate. You know, we have professional development classes every single week for our agents. We try to educate our agents as best as possible, and whether that's through, you know, a contract, whether that's through ethics, whether that's through a process, we just want to make sure that our agents are out there doing the best that they can for the client.
And also give us an idea. That sounds like a great plan that you have going forth, but also give us an idea of some of the other initiatives that you have here for the rest of the year, this 2017.
Sure. So, you know, we're a marketing company, and so we really put a lot of effort into our marketing products. So we've rolled out, in the last 6 months, we've rolled out a number of initiatives. One of my favorite is what we call a property website. So, for example, if you live at 123 Main Street, we can give you a URL or a website, 123mainstreet.com. And it's going to have all of your pictures. It's going to have all of your information, your description.
For my listing.
For your listing,
okay.
just for you. And now that can be shared through social media, through text, through an email signature, through an email. So there's all these different platforms with the introduction of all this new technology where we can get this information out to the public. Another item that we did is what we call our 11 by 17 brochure, which is 11 inches by 17 inches. And it's on a frosted vinyl cover with beautiful bonding. And, you know, I've never seen it from any other real estate company. And some of our larger properties really, really enjoy this. Also, some of our developments, because it's long and it's big. All of our pictures are high definition. We don't do any standard definition pictures. So when you blow these pictures up, you get excellent detail. And so some of these pictures, you know, are spread across an 11 by 17 spread, and they're just truly beautiful and stunning. And the sellers really enjoy their home displayed in this way, and then the buyers really get to understand how special this property is.
Very nice. And as you mentioned, the website, let's tell people in case they want to follow along right now, they're by their computers. What is the website?
Sure. Our website is marthaturner.com.
That's too easy. marthaturner.com. If they're driving around, they could just remember that. And when they go home, go to marthaturner.com. And it is an incredible website in so many ways. What are some of the other things that you're doing?
Well, you know, one of the things that we are is a full service broker. And I think not everyone truly understands what that means. Most people buy or sell a home every 7 years, right? So if you're not buying or selling a home, you're not necessarily thinking about what a full service broker is. And so we take you from the start to the finish. And sometimes people think getting an accepted offer is the finish line and that they're done. And that's just not true, right? So we have a lot of tools and papers that help explain the process, because there's still surveys, there's still other negotiations, there's still inspections, things of that nature that take a lot of time and energy. And we truly try to be an expert in the field through the whole process. And being a full service broker, that's really what Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty excels at.
And many people don't realize, both buyers and sellers alike, all the things that the real estate professional does. And as you said, when you get that offer, that's only the beginning.
Yes.
In fact, when I think about a real estate transaction, I think it's like a Swiss watch. So many things come together so that at that closing, when it all happens, everyone gets their check, the title policy, the keys, and everyone goes away happy. That is, to me, that's magnificent. It's the beauty of a Swiss watch where all those things came together. And each real estate transaction is different in its own way.
You are totally right. Every, you know, a $300,000 home, a $30 million home, it's all complicated in its own way. Whether it's a cash deal, whether it's finance, there's just so many different pieces to it. And, you know, like I was saying before, that's why we try to keep education as the forefront of one of our policies and one of our practices, is because things are always changing. Forms are always changing, rules are always changing, similar to an accountant, right? An accountant needs to stay on top of things because tax codes change year to year. Well, real estate changes year to year. And if you're not on top of the newest trends, the newest laws, the newest ethics, things of that nature, you could be doing something wrong, or you could really put yourself in a bad situation.
And also, I want to say a word. As I've gotten to know some of the real estate professionals at your company, you really have some of the highest caliber of professionals right there. They know so much. They are attached to the community. They know what's going on. They're familiar with the inventory. They excel in so many ways.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I really like about the culture at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty is the collaborative nature, right? So we do consistently have top agents across the city, and they all sell tons and tons of real estate, are involved in a lot of different deals, but they all support each other. You know, there's none of this line in the sand where this is my territory, please don't come in, this is my territory. It's, I happen to have a listing in there, what can you tell me? Or I'm struggling with this situation, what can you help me with? And we have monthly meetings. We call them farm meetings. And we go to all of our offices, and all the different agents come in, and we just have wonderful, wonderful conversations about the current state of the market, what areas, because we're talking about Houston and greater Houston, but really to a seller, they're really concerned about their hyper local market, which is basically their street or their neighborhood. So when you're dealing with one particular property on a street, in some ways it doesn't matter how the greater Houston area is doing because they're concerned with that one sale. And if that particular market's doing well, then we know how to price and we know how to market. If they're struggling a little bit, the buyers aren't coming in as much as they are in some other neighborhoods, then again, we know how to create a custom marketing plan for that particular seller.
Indeed, and I like what you're saying where the agents get together and help each other because that's how we create innovations. Also, that's how we help our buyers and sellers because they trade ideas, and it sounds like a great environment to do that. And also, let me backtrack just a minute as we think about all the different places people live. You lived in Houston is one of the most unique cities in the world, but also New York City's kind of unique too. Give us a word just from a lifestyle and as you live there, some of the things that people might enjoy hearing about.
Sure. Well, one of the things New York City has is snow, which I've noticed Houston has none of.
And I kind of like snow. I don't know about anybody else out there.
It's nice from time to time. It's the public transportation system. So I lived in New York for 10 years. One thing I think that's misunderstood about New Yorkers is that they really are nice people. It's just that they're not approachable, right? You don't make eye contact. When you go from point A to point B, you just go there directly. Otherwise you fall into the dreaded tourist category, and you don't ever want to be in that category. But otherwise, I've seen people in the subway fall over themselves to try to help people get around, give recommendations on restaurants, and just be really helpful in general.
And I think it's also fertile ground for ideas and innovations with all the excitement there. Whether you live in New York City or not, even visiting once in a while, it's probably a great place just to go and absorb the culture and the people around you and all the businesses and things going on. I think it's a fascinating city.
Completely agree with you. And so actually the top two cities are New York and Houston with the different cultures and ethnicities and things of that nature. And, I've been really lucky to live in both of those cities now.
And, I'm just starting to think my mind's starting to go to food, Paul. And both of these cities have excellent restaurants. Here in Houston, you've been here a while now, but you're enjoying the food, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually came here in July, right before I started the position, to try to get a feel of the city. And of course, my wife was 8 months pregnant at the time. It was July 30th. Of course, it was 150 degrees and humid out. And as we were sweating in the car because the car could barely keep us cool, we ended up at Tiny Box Woods. And we had one of their famous chocolate chip cookies. And we were sitting out there and, we just saw the relaxed and smiling feel of the patrons and the employees. And so we're saying, you know what? Maybe there's something magical about this city that we still need to learn and understand.
Indeed there is. And Paul, say with the last minute, what else would you like people to know about your company or anything else?
Just that at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, we strive to be the best that we can be. Remember that luxury is not a price point. Luxury is it's a state of mind because that applies to art. It applies to anything. And that 2017 is off to just a wonderful start, and we're excited to be part of it.
Very nice, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Kilian, the Vice President of Operations at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, and he's going to come back for a little bit at the end of the show. Stay with us. There's even more. Paul, I don't know about you. I'm getting hungry.
I'm getting hungry too. Talking about all these links.
That's right. It's crazy. But also, hey, with the last minute or so of the show, what else would you like people to know about anything? How you're enjoying Houston, your company, and what happens from here?
So hopefully I was able to educate the listener a little bit better. If you remember, we love educating. That's what we like to do.
So important.
And hopefully just the listener understands maybe the real estate process a little bit better. And really just give us a try. If you're looking to buy or sell a home at any point in the near future, just hear what we have to say. There's no risk involved. You can go to marthaturner.com. You can review some of the agent bios that Sharon wrote for many of our agents and check it out. And, also, if you're a buyer, the market has changed in the last 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. There's really
has.
The sense
That's right.
of urgency is back. Like we talked about before, the multiple bids, the open houses, the showings are all up. Our showing department is doing 30% more showings this time than they were doing a month or two ago. So it's just a really fun time to be in the real estate industry right now because there's so much energy and excitement. We're rolling out new products and just the mood is just really positive.
It really is, and it's so exciting. And I would invite, again, people to visit your website because you have it is such a spectacular website. Once again, marthaturner.com, right?
That's correct, yes.
And they can go there, explore it, check out the agent bios, and yes, you do have some incredible agents, and we know we love when people close at Stewart Title. We thank all of your agents that have closed and do close at Stewart. And also, one last word about how you like Houston.
Sure. So you know what's really fun is exploring the parks and the museums is honestly one thing that really blew us away. The museums are clean, clear, well thought out, well designed. The parks, same idea. And outside of rush hour, Houston is a very easy city to get around in by the car.
That's right. And one thing that you talk about rush hour, and it almost seems like we have so many people that have relocated here and are relocating. Almost anywhere we go, I can feel more traffic. I don't know about you.
Well, unfortunately, I'm inside a building most of the day, which is okay. But, when you're out, it's fun to try to look at different license plates. So I actually live in the Heights. And so there's a lot of people that move in and out of the city, in and out of Texas and Houston, kind of congregate in the Heights.
And actually, as we think about things that trigger real estate transactions, so many things do. And the fact that the traffic is getting a little bit busier, it might be an idea for people to buy a home from your company right now to move a little closer to where they work. What do you think of that? About that?
I think that's a wonderful suggestion. If you're looking to sell your home in Katy or somewhere.
That's right. Let's tighten up that radius and enjoy life just a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Kilian, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.